questions about a town code text amendment for entry gates. Do we have any questions, comments? Tyler, you got anything on that? Are we good?
Do you want to share anything, or do y'all have any questions on or wonder what this is more
Pretty
about? Or is
straightforward.
it pretty straightforward?
Okay,
Okay.
Well, the
Yeah.
entrance gates, I'll see if I can meet with Tyler, I guess, sometime this week, if it's possible, maybe Wednesday or Thursday. Just some of the verbiage. a
Okay.
little bit On the pages that he put out with the green lettering.
Yeah.
Like a more of a broader brush, if
Uh-huh.
that makes sense.
Okay.
Because it just says Fletcher PD, or for, like we talked about, for the approval, it says Fletcher Fire Department or Fletcher Police Department approves the gate codes and stuff. Since Fletcher Fire Department does inspections, they should do the inspections of the gates and stuff, because there's two different entities doing
Yeah.
two different things.
So
if
make
makes sense.
that more
Yeah, I'll
more
get it.
clear on who's
Yeah.
doing it.
It's a little bit
Okay. So it's-
Well, it should be just the Fletcher Fire Department, because the very last one we talked about, it just says Fletcher Fire Department will hold I guess, the note and also the plat, so.
And I don't think our police department would.
It's out of their
mind
scope of
about
work.
that.
Police
Yeah,
don't
yeah.
do inspections on
Yeah.
gates and stuff like
Yeah,
that.
I don't
This
think
small
there's-
small verbiage looks great, I just want to get over the top.
Good.
so.
And we had our PD weigh in on it, the police department look at it and provide
Yeah,
feedback. so-
like a broader brush, it says like access, it says right now Fletcher Fire Department and then Fletcher Police Department, don't say anything like EMS. And it only says emergency responses can access it, it don't say anything about routine, like the police department probably patrols the area. So
Okay.
it's not an emergency.
Okay.
If that makes sense,
Yeah.
probably a little broader brush, just
Okay,
emergency
so we
services.
can work on some
Yeah.
additions, tweaks to the language.
Yeah.
and
I
then
know
get
that
back.
Tyler said it come from Henderson County, so this,
Yep.
That's all
Yeah,
we,
yeah, and it was initiated by all the information's
yeah,
in there, which you read it. So, yeah, we can make those changes, and we just want to make sure, and we agreed with him when he brought it to us, that we keep this uniform and stay on top of it.
I think it's a great
Make sure they
idea.
can fluidly get in and out of these places.
yeah, I think it's a great idea, and maybe we can probably, it's publicly knowledge right now, even if it's a family, like, for example, we have a gate. If it's a single-family home, what they can do is contact the dispatch and put it in the premise notes, and say,
Yeah.
here's the gate code.
Yeah.
If they have, a single-family home has gates, they can do that.
Right.
And they can add that to it. So any emergency vehicle can pop it up, so the gate code exists and go straight in.
Yeah, like, for example, good point, our police chief, where he lives, the
Batcave.
current place that he's selling, but it's in Henderson County, and it's got similar situation, gate notes there.
Yeah,
with
yeah.
dispatch.
And most fire departments and most emergency services, they have their own set gate code for residentials.
Yeah.
And it's set to call the fire department, so what's y'all's gate code that y'all use, and you can, program it in.
Yeah.
So this is standard across the district.
Yep,
So,
okay,
sounds like it's pretty straightforward.
yeah.
okay.
All righty, next week we'll have our year-end audit from Carol Avery, so look forward to that.
Yeah, and no surprises there, just so you know, and you'll get a copy of the full audit, and no audit findings, no statements of material weaknesses, so that's all clear. Fund balance grew, even shockingly with Helene, even though we didn't have really high expenses that we had to take on. Still, our cash flow was solid and grew, and of course, we're getting our reimbursements from FEMA, that's been coming in now. But, so, yeah, I'll be talking to you more about excess unassigned fund balance going above our fund balance policy, so I'll mention something later.
Sounds good. Moving on to item number 8, next week we'll have a public hearing in regards to the conditional zoning request from the Fletcher Village Bakery. Any questions, comments ahead of time there?
I see where they added a gate.
Emergency
It's just
gate.
emergency gate. So, yeah.
The back entrance will just be emergency access only now, so,
Yeah. Well,
I think that alleviated a lot of concerns.
will there be a sign there that says emergency access only? Make sure they don't have the delivery trucks just going in there and saying, well, we'll use this gate no matter what, that type of thing.
Yeah,
Okay.
and hopefully by the time it goes through, they have to go through our gate ordinance.
Yeah.
Thank you, Tyler.
All right, sounds good. And moving on to our final item, the presentation of the recommended 5-year CIP plan. Mr. Manager.
Okay, thank you. So in your packet, and I don't know if you want me to go through all of them tonight, and I'm more than happy to, what I've got recommended in there, or if you want me to do that next week, but just,
next week on the shoulder.
Yeah.
but just so you know, if you hadn't seen all through your packet, it's essentially just a memo mentioning that this is the recommended CIP based on the project submissions that came in developing the new 5-year CIP. So you have two charts. I think the first one, it's supposed to be the other way around there, is the recommended list of projects, the shorter chart. And then the bigger one, which is on the second page, was, the second one is everything that came in for requests. And then the other shorter chart is what I'm recommending to you. And I'll go through all the projects either now or next week, but just the biggest change from what was submitted versus what I'm recommending is I do not have the lights for
The ball
field.
field,
Yeah, the
yeah.
ball field lights are not included in there, unless y'all want that added back in. And then, the only other change really from what was submitted versus what I'm recommending is the paving of some of the greenway trails. It's in there, but I suggested moving it to year 5 of the plan. We could try and keep it in year 3, but I did that to kind of balance out the total funding requests by year that are recommended in there. And granted, a lot of these are going to be funded with cash, but, there's two parts to our CIP, as just a reminder. We do 6 cents of the tax levy into this, what that produces, which is a little over 1.1 million right now. And about, 2 cents of that 6 cents produces is cash, and we try and fund that with cash, and it's anywhere 375 to, might be 400,000 a year. And then the remaining, 4 cents on the levy is about 750,000, it might put 800 to 800,000. And that's with projects with loans or debt service. And some of that debt service is eaten up already because we have the loans on the town hall project and land we acquired. And then for the town hall project, and town hall specific, and then that land on 25, which is part of the town center project. And then after that, the balance is available debt service. And we've even had excess monies there on the debt service portion that we've been able to help fund if we needed more on the cash side to do the projects recommended for any given year. And the other thing, just to point out, any particular year, this can change or we can modify it, so we're not like, 100% locked in, just like you can amend the budget. We don't recommend you're constantly amending it, try and stick to the plan as best as possible, but you do have that authority to amend it, and every year of this 5-year plan, I'll, likely recommend those projects that are in it. But, we can have unforeseens, like we take a hit on our projected property tax revenues, what to levy, and you need to adapt or maybe not fund one project to accommodate a shortfall or something. So, and I can go through everything that's in there now or next week or however you want to do that.
I don't mind to go through it now.
Make next week a little shorter
Yeah, let's
with
go
the
through
public
it.
hearing.
Next week?
No, let's go ahead, go
Oh, do
through
you
it
want to do
now.
it now?
Yeah.
Okay, all right. So, page to it. So again, the shorter spreadsheet table, which is the first one, the smaller of the two, that's the recommended project list. And The first one, and it's something that we had in the last 5-year plan and the 5-year plan before that, is our police vehicle rotation. And just so you know, we try and do 3 vehicles per year, and that seems to be working. We try not to let the mileage get too high on the police vehicles. So we're trying to purchase 3, this is for 3 per year. And then we typically auction 2 to 3 vehicles a year that reach a certain age and mileage. So we are recouping some monies from the vehicles that reach a certain age, so that does help. It doesn't go back into CIP, it just comes back into the general fund, but that's what this is, and it's, every year for the 5 years of the police motor vehicle replacement plan, and again, it's about 3 vehicles per year. We have had some years we don't do 3, and the chief, and I appreciate the police department, prior chief and current chief, if we don't feel we need 3 in that, we purchase 2, and so that provides some savings. But that's what that is, it's a continuation of our vehicle rotation replacement plan for police patrol vehicles. And it can include detective vehicles in there too, and chief and the command staff. The next item, and this is obviously getting into public works, is garbage truck. So right now we're at 2 garbage trucks that we have. We typically keep 3, but we lost one from Helene, and it wasn't enough insurance money to try and go out and buy a decent used garbage truck, so we have not replaced that. We have 2, we're able to get by with 2, but it really helps to have 3. That third one is usually used for the seasonal leaf collection, and then just to have a spare of,
Reserve, yeah.
like 2, because we only have 2 then.
One breaks down here.
Yeah, one breaks down and something happens with the other one, we're in a bind.
Right.
Hendersonville has helped us in the past, lent us a garbage truck if we got in a real bind, which has been great, but, and they, the life cycle's about 7 years on these. Obviously, we can stretch them out longer, but you probably should be rotating them about every 7 years. So this would be getting a third garbage truck back in there, and the cost would be $450,000. And we may do like a short-term financing, that's what we did on the last truck, or there may be enough cash just to pay cash on it. But we did like a 3-year loan, 3 or 4-year loan, and we just paid the one off this past year. So that's pretty straightforward. Motor for the generator at Town Hall, and that would be in year 2 of the 5-year CIP at $150,000. Our generator that fires, it's our backup power for the whole Town Hall. We've been having some issues with it. It's not functioning at a real high capacity. Obviously, thankfully, we don't lose power a lot, but it's only at about, they've estimated 40% load, peak load that it's carrying. So, we'd like to get that replaced, and the problem is, and we no problem trying to replace parts and but it's getting harder to find them on it, because they don't make that motor anymore, so we're having to get replacement parts that are used.
Is it just the motor that's pulling out and putting it back in,
It's a
and
motor.
keeping everything else?
It's a motor.
Okay.
Just the motor, which is a huge part of it,
Right,
but it would
right.
be more expensive
Right.
to replace the whole generator.
Yeah, as I said, 150, it might be a little high, but a little cushion would be nice, yeah.
Yeah.
Because I know we're replacing a whole generator plus wiring and everything else is 600 amp, which will do this building easily, power everything, and that's $190,000 that we're having to pay
Yeah,
for.
yeah.
That's for the wiring and everything, so just,
Yeah.
if you're just pulling out the motor, it might be, but it's nice that you figured a little high, just in
Yeah,
case. Yeah.
and we're getting, we got estimates on these things, so they're not, wild guesses
Right,
here.
that's pretty close, yeah.
So, yeah, it really is something that needs to be done, hopefully we don't get any hurricane-level storms or something that we're knocked out for days on end, you know, but, so that's pretty straightforward, the generator, not the whole generator, the motor, in year 2. Again, these things can change if we need to shift gears. The next thing is a long arm mower attachment for the tractor. This is a public works item at $46,000. And what this does is it's an attachment that you can get into harder to reach places to cut grass. The other thing, and these blades are, I guess, strong enough, we'd like to be able to use it at the park to, you know, it could be a little bit at Kate's and Pete's Park, but, you know, mostly at the big park, at Billmore Community Park, to help with edging back the greenway trails. So that it can be used over there, which I like, that we can use that equipment and have a dual purpose like that.
Do they need it earlier? I was just
Yeah, I was gonna
curious.
say, is that?
Because that's like
something
4 years away, and that last year, it looks like $609,200 for that 1 year. That's one of the most highest. I didn't know if they needed it earlier, if we need to move it down
We could, yeah, I mean, we could move it up.
to a shorter year.
Yeah. I'll look at that and see if we make a tweak on this and move it up maybe to
I guess
the
that's
year
up to
28,
council.
29
No, I'm
or
fine with it, yeah.
sooner. Does that sound like middle of the plan?
I think that's
Maybe move
fair.
it up?
Yeah.
46, not that much.
And the next is a drainage repair at Public Works, and that's an estimate of $35,000. There's a rusted out drainage pipe that they're making do right now, but eventually it's going to need to be completely replaced. That helps with drainage from Parish Municipal Drive down through the property and towards like the storage buildings there where we put some of the equipment in down below. So,
Is it like really prioritized? I mean, is that like high priority or something? That's why
Well,
it's 4 years away too.
and
Is it like washing, or is it like affecting properties?
apparently it's not so bad at this point, and again, we can move it up if it's looking
Worse, okay.
Jabo, when he put the request in on this, so Public Works put it as a year 5
Okay.
requests, I just kept it in there. I wondered about that too, but we can monitor that, and if you're okay with it, we can leave it in year 5, but if it's getting worse, we can
can move it up.
consider, and I'll ask
Yeah.
him, move it up to an earlier year. So, and then next was the tag-along equipment trailer, and that's in year 4 at $38,000. And what this is our trailer to move heavy equipment. I think it's got a 10,000 pound capacity, and this would upgrade it to 20,000 pounds. And right now, we can't, it's not rated weight-wise enough to put our backhoe on there. So it would allow us to do that without having to drive it places with the backhoe. And then other equipment we rent from time to time, like lifts, it would be, we could put the lift on that rather than have to rent another trailer to move it around. So it gives, and our current 10,000 pound capacity trailer is pretty old too. I think it's like 30 years old. So that's it on the tag-along equipment trailer. The next is replacement of Public Works Director vehicle. So this is a Public Works Director's, I think it's a Tahoe we have right now, and you can get it out that much further, but we're already like getting up to 85,000 miles. He's not having any major problems with it, but it's getting old, and so we think we can do that in year,
He pulled that off the
Three.
last one, didn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah, thought he did.
yeah, he did, yeah, good memory on that, yeah, it was, let's try and stretch that out a little bit further. So that's in year 3, and remember, again, these are estimates, and we also, we bid all of this, so we have to, follow our procurement guidelines, state and internal. And then the next item is painting, so it's 3 separate years at different levels of town hall. It's starting to get worn in areas here, and to keep, an attractive appearance here, especially for the public and others that come through, we thought we should factor in painting within the building and, getting, our Public Works does a decent job, but this might be something worth contracting out to do. So the first floor would be in year 1 at $45,000, second floor in year 2 at $55,000, and then the third floor with the town hall and the stairwells at $61,000.
So on the first floor, that's everything but the police department, or does that include?
I think it's the PD too. A lot of it's PD because technically
Yeah.
that's downstairs. Yeah.
So it would be the police department
Yes,
also?
yes. And let's see, the next would be a new shelter at Billmore Community Park. So our current shelter gets so much usage. I mean, we rent it out constantly, especially in the warmer months. There's multiple rentals on one day that, we see opportunity if we built a second shelter to accommodate more rentals, but also accommodate activities that we're doing, summer day camp, concerts.
And I'd really like him to look at that and make sure will accommodate those kids during the summertime.
Yes,
I
yeah,
know storms, they come
Yeah.
up here, but,
Yeah.
just to make sure they have enough room to
yeah.
I would
accommodate.
like to see that moved up, and I thought we still had some money, maybe in ARPA, that would be a good use of that money. We're just sitting on it now, and before we add on the pickleball courts or something like that, I'd like to see the shed being built before, I'd like to see that being a more, but I'd like to see it the next year. I'd like to see it on this year's budget, even if we used our ARPA money, which we have.
Do you want to move it? Well,
I'm not opposed to moving it up. I wouldn't
Okay.
particularly want to use ARPA on it, though. I kind of look at that as more larger scale
I think-
projects, but
I'm sorry, go ahead. I think we can accommodate it
Yeah, yeah,
in the
yeah.
CIP without going to ARPA.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
We
I
want to
think
move
that's
it up.
fine. Yeah.
Yeah, I
But
think that would
initially,
be a
what's
good
that-
idea.
But what's that ARPA money for, though? I mean, we're just,
well, we said we're going to use it for capital projects,
Yeah.
right?
I thought we used it for salaries and.
Well, so we used it for salaries, but then I think we pulled it out, and then
Yeah.
when we pulled it out, we said we were going to use it for capital projects, if my memory serves me
Yeah,
correctly.
you're right. You're right.
something the whole community could benefit from, not just a small group.
Yep.
I'm good moving it up too.
It's,
Yeah,
year
that's fine.
2 is kind of light. Should we, this is just a suggestion, we do it in year 2, or do you want to do it in year 1?
Feels like 2's the lowest, ain't it? Or we can do it.
Right.
I mean, just based on what it's looking like, perhaps year 2 makes sense.
Okay.
The garbage truck kind of throws a big old wrench in
Yeah, it does.
450,000 that same
Yeah,
year.
yeah, that's a good.
The first, yeah, because you look at the first year, 775,000, and year 2 cuts it basically in half.
Yeah.
I mean, it depends how our revenues look. We could even do cash for the garbage truck in year 1, rather than, if we do that, then it eats up a lot more of the resources. If we do debt service, then it's much less of an impact on the annual allotment of revenue there. So we'll see. I was talking with Heather the other day about the garbage truck, and maybe we do cash, just because we've got space on the debt service side enough, and then sometimes on just the cash project side, that there's enough room to just pay cash on it.
Yep.
And obviously, we save some interest, even though it's a short financing typically for the garbage truck. So, but yeah, if you guys are, if you all are comfortable with moving the shelter to year 2, is that, okay? So I'll make a change on that for next week.
And perhaps if, I guess, since we're making these changes, if a lot of things start to get moved around because of some of these edits, maybe you could send us a draft ahead of time before next week.
Yeah, we'll get this out beforehand,
Okay.
make the changes.
Do they have an idea where they would want to put it at exactly, Mark?
Next to, right next to the current shelter, like that, at least this is what the talk was. I mean, we could move it to another location, but probably in that, that little field. So
Yeah.
where the current shelter is, if you're coming down the drive and you're facing it to the right of it,
Yeah.
that little area right there, which is not really used for anything in particular.
Sure. I think that's
Other
appropriate.
than people are using the shelter, kind of come off of there and, I don't know, play catch and various things,
Sounds good.
volleyball or something, they
Yeah.
might set something up there.
I've seen that.
That's where we're thinking,
Okay. That's a good location.
yeah.
Makes
And we
sense.
have time, if we want to look at somewhere else, we'll obviously be in communication with you.
Would that put it
before
on the other side of the main drive going in?
Not it's on the same side as the
Same
current
side of the
shelter,
river.
yeah, and that
Just
that
in that
little
little
field,
section.
like, yeah, that little area that's right next to it.
Okay.
Yeah. And we'll show you, and we can do a sketch, and when we get closer, and if you fund it in year 2. Because remember, every year, I'll present as a part of the budget, these projects that are in it, and then, make a final decision if they're going to be included, and then bid. So, okay, we'll do that. Then the next item was the Parks and Rec staff vehicle, and this is like their general vehicle they use that, so the current one is, and it's okay vehicle, but it's a hand-me-down from the police department. It was one that they were getting ready to auction and suggested that Parks and Rec take that vehicle, and I think we swapped out one that they were using, or no, we auctioned that one, or are auctioning
We
it this year.
auctioned
Yeah,
off. It was a Ford Explorer that
Yeah.
was in bad shape.
it was and it, yeah, so it was in rough shape. This helps to replace one that's got a fair amount of mileage on it, and again, was one that Chief had an idea to transfer that surplus one over. So they have a vehicle that's in much better working condition than what they had before. They had this old Jeep too that was in really rough shape. So it's replacing that, and it's a Dodge Durango, the one they have right now, a 2016. And this would probably be an upgrade to a little bit bigger SUV that have a little more capability for moving, storing things. And then the next thing was Parks and Rec utility tractor. So the current tractor, this New Holland, is a 45 horsepower. And if we replace this, it would be with a higher horsepower tractor, 90 horsepower. And it would have some other capabilities with the front end loader on it. And they use the current one quite a bit, move materials and other miscellaneous things. So that's what that's about. And the next thing is sewer line replacement. So I don't know how much y'all are aware, maybe you've heard some. We've, for the last 3 or 4 years, we've had constant maintenance issues with the restrooms at the big park. I mean, as you can imagine, they get a lot of use. There's just a lot of volume of water, wastewater moving through there. And the current line heads, direction is that kind of north towards the kind of northern boundary of the park line there. There's a 24-inch interceptor that gravity feeds into. And over time, that line has, yeah, it is settled, moved, sagged, we have clogs in it, and we really need to replace that line and make sure the grade is better and have basically an upgrade to that line. So that's what that's about, and it's an ongoing problem, and it's not going to get any better. Band-aiding it, it's not going to really do it. So that's what that is. And then the last item, and I really like this one because it helps with maintenance issues, the maintenance costs of constantly having to add gravel to some parts of our current Greenway Trail. But so this would cover, and I sent you all individual project sheets, and this one had an estimate and then a map. We got estimates from McGill Associates, and then there was a map showing where. So this is essentially towards the back of the park, that gravel trail that kind of runs the perimeter
Perimeter of the river.
the outer perimeter there of the tree line. It's kind of like a horseshoe, and it goes to the very back of the park and then angles back towards where it's gravel, and then it starts and meets back up with the paved trail by
You're
the
talking about
dog park.
the tree line closer to the apartment complex?
Yeah.
Is that what you're talking about? On that backside of it?
Yeah, but
Or not over here,
that's
but-
paved over
Yeah,
there.
I said apartment complex on
Yeah.
that side of it.
Yeah,
Basically, it's to the right, I guess.
Yeah,
if
so
you could.
when you go to the very back of the park, there's that gravel
It
that
circles
runs
around,
along the
yeah.
perimeter, and
Yeah.
it loops around, it touches where it's paved at the
Yeah.
dog park,
Yeah.
and then comes back
Yeah,
around.
yeah, that's what I meant, yeah.
Yeah, and it's the inner trail, or, I don't know, outer, how would you say it? And then we have what we
Yeah,
call like
kinda
the
like
nature
little
trail
sort
that
of like
runs
that
through
next
the
thing
woods,
that's
not
right.
paving
Uh-huh.
that, but that one that's in the main open part of the park. So that would be paved, that whole section there, it's like a big U. And then as you cross the bridge, paving that, going left, where it goes parallel to Cane Creek, all the way down to Mills Gap. So basically, that whole long stretch where it's gravel, put an asphalt trail down there, which again is a, big maintenance responsibility to keep that up, and because it's highly trafficked. And it's a great trail, it's beautiful. So it would be paving those two sections. And initially, initially it was in the year 3 of the plan, and what the request came in from Parks and Rec. I moved it out to year 5 just to balance out some of the expenses in here. So that's why it's out in year 5. We could move it up. Obviously, moving it out to year 5, our estimate on this, probably gonna go up a bit. But McGill did some good, analysis on this and what it would cost. So I feel pretty good about the numbers. I guess particularly out to year 3. Now, that may go up a little bit out to year 5, but that's the only reason why it's out to year 5 of the plan instead of year 3. So, and again, we could adjust it at any point, depending on how revenues are looking and other projects done or something else comes up. So if you're comfortable, I can leave it in year 5.
I think that's fine. yeah.
Okay. All right.
One question I was going to say, I don't know, was it a year ago? Maybe it could be 2 years ago. We talked about, I didn't see it here, if it's something we're not going to do, that's fine too. The fishing pier, we talked
Yeah.
about the fishing
Oh,
pier.
yeah.
We didn't, and we drawed it up and did everything, then I think the rain hit, and next thing you know, it's like,
Yeah.
so is
Yeah,
that
I'd still
something,
like
is that
to
something in
look
the
at-
thoughts of the future too, since we talked about that one?
Yeah, and that's
Couldn't
something that we
There's several folks with MS and thing that had approached me that we're
Yes.
very interested in having some access to the
Yeah,
Cane
that's-
Creek down through there. So
Okay.
Where
Yeah, and
was
it got put on the back,
It
though.
was open, you went to the first parking lot right here.
I'm trying to remember if I got
It was the
to
first parking
a
lot.
ballpark
You would go
estimate. I
across the,
think I did, but I'm not positive with
Yeah, and the
McGill.
river.
Like, I asked
I think I remember
McGill.
us talking
Okay,
about
so
it.
So it's
I
supposed to be where you
think,
could
I can't remember if we
wheelchair-
got an actual
you can
number
access
on
it's over
it.
there.
We may
I know
have.
you
That's
went and
where
looked
the
at the one in Mills River.
Yep.
And I actually
The
talked to
pier,
her the other
yeah.
day, and she said
People
that one
handicapped can fish.
structurally
They
held
stopped the
up
river right there.
Good.
during Helene, so,
Yeah, they sure did.
Yeah, yeah. So,
Be nice.
couple things that happened with that. Well, Helene hit.
Yeah.
I did try and go to, when they built the one in Mills River, which was a good example of one to go look at, they got grant funding for
Yeah.
it
Oh,
to
that's even
build
better.
it. And I wanted to try and go after
Yeah.
the same
that'd be
source.
great.
Yeah.
It's not, there was no money available under that when I checked, whatever it was, a year and a half ago. And so I guess I kind of held there with it. I know the storm hit, we got distracted with, I guess, not following up or coming back on it. But no, it's a good point, and
I guess
maybe
earmark
that's
it
one that
somewhere.
could be added or amended at some point into the plan, so I'll have to look and see where we left with it, because I can't remember if we actually got to a number. I think we did, but I'm not positive for McGill.
Yeah, I can't
Or that got put on the back burner because they were gonna do it. I talked to Ben Cathy, I think, about it. And then I believe the storm hit, I mean, and then that was
Yeah,
just
everything
not a
got-
priority, yeah. So, but no, thanks for bringing that up, yeah, because that could be an amendment to this.
If in the next
Um,
5 years, 10 years, whatever.
Yeah. I don't know if I've got enough information to try and add it back in here now, but, so, yeah.
'Cause I think you brought that up years ago, and I think we all agreed it was a pretty good
Yeah.
idea,
Yeah, I
too.
did.
Yeah, we found a location, it
Yeah.
would be like, and when you pull into
Handicap
the
accessible,
park, it's
everything.
like that first fishing access, it's like a little beachy area.
Right
We used to-
across.
there's a- Yeah, there was like a picnic table in there, it's one of the points they stopped.
Stopped, yeah.
So, that would be good. So, and it would make it even easier to stock too, if there's a pier there.
You know, this probably doesn't fall under the realm, but speaking of grant funding, we as a town probably should be looking at some of the grant funding for North Carolina now that we're a Tier 2 community. At least
Yeah.
at the moment, we're a Tier 2 community. I'm sure
Right.
that'll change at some point, but
Yep.
while we have that, we should be looking to what we have access to.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Not a bad idea.
Yeah, I was surprised we fell to a
I
tier
was too.
2. I mean, it seems like we've been a strong tier 3
Yeah,
for.
I think that's because of Hurricane Helene probably,
Yeah.
but I don't
yeah.
know.
I'm still surprised Henderson County fell. I know
I think
there's a
Buffalo-
big explanation
Yeah.
for it, which I don't know all the nuts and bolts on it. And Partnership sent something that explained, I've heard all the criteria, but I guess what really changed in the 5 or 6 criteria areas. Plus, they're gonna go over it at that
At the partnership.
Public Partners update, which is next Tuesday, so, I don't know who is going.
I'll be there. I
You'll
think
be
I saw your
there.
email.
I got a
Yeah.
conflict
And-
at work.
Okay,
Yeah, I'll
you're
be
coming,
there.
Jim? Okay.
Yeah, I got a conflict, I won't be there.
Okay. So, yeah, good point. So we'll have to keep our eyes and ears open for that. So that's it.
Any other questions, comments?
I like it.
Thanks for the feedback, that was helpful. I'll make the adjustments for your comments and then email it out to you in advance.
Yeah.
And it'll probably be, like Christine will do supplemental packets
Yeah,
based on
And it'll
things.
be in there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
sure. Well done, and well done, department heads too.
Yeah, and just shout out or thank you to them. I thought they did a good suggestion or list that weren't anything too far out there that like, I don't know about that, or that might be something that you all would be really comfortable or excited about. So I didn't feel like there was anything too ambitious or, what someone might say unrealistic or too much versus, enough projects to make some enhancements and then help with replacement of existing facilities, so.
Sure.
I know this conversation sometimes I guess in the future, even with Parks and Recs, when Greg was here, he said he would love to see that, was maybe like a small, like an amphitheater, so they don't have to set the tent up every time for
Yeah.
events and stuff. That might be something
Yes.
longer term,
Yeah.
just keeping our radar.
Yeah, and then, yeah, the whole town center plans, some of them in the visioning and the master plan has an
Amphitheater.
amphitheater concept, like, some of the renderings had it, so we got town hall here, and if you look kind of behind or to the east, kind of going off in that area towards the woods between the park and the town center property,
Right.
which kind of makes sense off that way. And you make use of some area that's got some floodplain issues, so it's not a big deal if, amphitheater floods a little bit, but add some public facilities and draw for events and things. So, yeah, it was in there, but it's something, we can keep in mind too for.
I know Greg was talking about doing that too when he was
Yeah.
here, because
Yeah.
I guess
Yeah.
it takes a long time to set the stuff up
Yeah,
and then just break down
yeah,
all that stuff.
yeah. Having
help
permanent
them out.
stages helps sometimes, but then a stage takes up space
It does.
too for other things.
We figured that the, ball clubs can use it for things and.
Yeah.
if there's multiple things can be used, not just
Right.
concerts and stuff.
Okay,
Yeah, I like that idea.
yeah.
All right, any more questions, comments? All right, going on to your town manager's report.
Thanks, I was just making one other note on that, so. Not many things here, just had a few, so I know I shared with you and the Land of Sky staff helped with that application, the state revolving funds, that special Helene appropriation. So it was EPA to Department of Environmental Quality, DEQ monies. We put our application in for the sewer project, to try and bring sewer to Westfeld, Dogwood Terrace and North Hudson, and got turned down. We didn't have enough, Helene-related damage type stuff there, so that hurt our chances. And they can, I replied back to them, yeah, if we can still apply in another round, that maybe it's not Helene-related, but just state revolving funds. Just the kicker on this is if we went under the regular SRF funding, it's a loan. Some elements of it are a forgivable loan, but they, based on the criteria for the regular SRF application, we'd probably have to make it a loan. It'd be fairly low interest rates, but, so it's incurring debt, which is not ideal to do this for a capital project. Not that you don't not do a capital project because of debt, but still. So I'll be talking to you more about this, but as our audit comes out, and I mentioned our unassigned fund balance is really strong, I mean, it's at 75%, our unassigned fund balance. So we amazingly still grew it in this past year. So our policy says to keep it between 45 and 65% as a percentage of our general fund expenditures. So, I mean, we're at, it's like 6 point, what are we at now? We're at 6.8 million, 6.85 million our unassigned fund balance. And that's 75% as a percentage of our general fund expenditures. So, yeah, that 10%, I'd have to run the calculations on that, so that's, what, at least 680,000 or more. But that's just the amount over the 65%. So, one thing that came up, and Heather and I were talking about it, is, when you try and get it, spend it down so it's not more than 65%, maybe the capital project you consider, you don't have to discuss it all tonight, but just kind of put the bug in your ear, is maybe that is how we pay for the sewer over there, since this is a project we've been trying to do for so long. And it still keeps our unassigned fund balance very strong. We probably still keep it at the high end of that 65%. So maybe that's a project you consider doing then. I mean, it's about $1 million project to do it still, but, and maybe you don't pay for everything in it. Maybe the last part you don't pay is the cost for the connection from the house to the sewer meter, which normally the homeowner does that. It's not a huge expense, but, so anyway, there's some things we can tweak. If you want to entertain that, I can go through all the parts of the costs that were in the budget and see, is that something we want to still pursue and, you know, really add service there if we bring sewer to those 3 streets. So just FYI, in light of that, in our audit and unassigned fund balance level being so high. Next thing was, I wanted to mention, so council meetings for February. We lose this room during February because of the elections board using it, and is this a special election?
No, this is the primary.
It's just
It
primary
doesn't include
voting, yeah.
Municipal, because we're on the other.
Yeah, because we don't have primaries now, but so they'll be taking this over for primary, and, you know, we can meet up in the multi-purpose room. We have a little bit of some stuff we're bumping up against there. The police is doing these like long classes, and they're week-long, and they're kind of national thing. Do you want to consider just having one meeting, just doing the regular meeting, which would be on February the 9th? We can still do agenda review and the regular meeting. It's just a little bit logistically them setting up and breaking down with the class in there. So I'm not saying we don't do it.
I'm fine with just a regular meeting.
Incorporate both into one.
I would do
Yeah.
it too.
Good?
Yeah, just a regular meeting, yeah.
All right, that's what we'll do.
I'll be out.
We're all good?
Well, I'm out of town
Okay.
anyway, so.
All right. Very good. And then the last thing I wanted to just mention to you, or give you an update on, is I know we've had some discussions with you or shared information about some issues we've had over at the Super 8 Motel on Underwood Road, and we've met with the property owners, and, you know, this was like a nuisance abatement issue with some kind of high crime activities that have happened over there. And back on December 16th, our police department, myself, our town attorney, the ALE agents that have been working on nuisance abatement issues, we all met with most of the owners of that hotel. Some are out of town or out of country, and basically presented a memorandum of understanding, or MOU, for them to abide by some things that we think would cut down significantly on the kind of some of the illicit activity that's happened over there. And the biggest being or having a rule no longer renting to anyone local, so a 30-mile radius, unless it's an extreme issue like a fire or natural disaster, you know, some exceptions like that, but no more local renting of the rooms. We had something in there about trespassing policy, and that with the police department to help them to better enforce trespassers, registering all the people staying at the hotel, and had some other things, parking passes. That's kind of the gist of it. And it was a very positive meeting with them. There wasn't a lot of pushback, at least from the property owners that were present. And one of them is one that's very active in the day-to-day running of the hotel. So they seemed very concerned about it and wanted to do something to address it. So We don't have the agreement fully executed yet, the MOU, because some of them are out of country and should be back soon to execute that. And I think the police department's already seeing improved activity there, so. Yeah, time will tell. So, good news on that. So I just want to let you know that's happening, that's going forward. And that's all I had.
Sounds good.
Unless there's any questions.
Questions from Mark? All right, any other business from council? Or is there a motion to adjourn?
Make a motion.
All right, motion to adjourn, is there a second?
I'll second.
Go ahead.
Amber, second.
Go ahead, Al.
Motion and a second to adjourn, any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of adjourning, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? We are adjourned.
All right, thank you.
I thought that local business would have been an issue.
Do what?
I never thought that people within a 30-mile radius would be the root of that problem.
You wouldn't, but you'd be surprised. It's like,
Yeah.
it's like the rest area issues that we
Yeah.
used to have.